Hi everyone, this is Gyan here, and just so you know, I have a poor connection. We do have some pretty strong winds outside, and that tends to affect the internet connection. Today's topic is God, religion, and life. It's something that I think everyone has in common: a religion, a belief, or a God. Now, this topic has come up a few times where people talk about there has to be a God out there. There has to be a creator out there that has created us, an individual being or entity that exists above us or around us or inside of us that is God. Now, to start off with this live video, I'm just going to share a little story. This was in particular when I was 9 years old, and after entering the school system at the age of 7, and where the school I was going at was a Christian school. So every morning you're praying, every day they're talking about God. You actually had classes, like one classroom where you would sing and learn about God or Christianity in this case. But I'm not here to talk specifically about Christianity or Muslim or any religion. I don't know many religions. I just know there's a lot. Now, I grew up in Christianity. Now, I never believed in God up until the age of 7, where I went to school, and suddenly God and this concept of God is everywhere. Everyone is talking about God, and everyone's talking about Jesus, and everyone's talking about heaven and hell and all these things that was very fearful. Okay, just the word God was fearful. It's like there's this other being out there that has created you, that has created this world. Like we're in some little scheme, or we're in a game that someone else is playing, and it's not a nice game. The world is pretty sick. If you know what happens to people, it happens to children, if you know what happens to innocent lives like the animals, nature, if you look at everything that's happening on this planet and you now believe in God, or you hear about this God that has created everything, almighty, all knowing, then suddenly you feel frightened because why was it allowed that you can be born as an innocent being into this world the way it is? Why did God not give you a clean slate? Why did not God give you a brand new world of your own where you can really decide and see who you are, if God existed now? But that's besides the point. So at the age of 9, I decided I'm going to give God a chance. Before that, I didn't give God a chance. I didn't believe in God. I didn't want to. I was very resistant to it. And specifically at the age of 9, I got a bicycle, and I had to learn to drive this new bicycle. It was a bigger one. I did have a bicycle before, a smaller one. And the bigger one was more challenging to drive, more challenging to ride. So I took my bike out to the street, and I decided today I'm going to give God a chance. God is going to help me to ride this bike. All right, this is something simple, something very small that I decided as a kid, as a child, that God can help me with, because I am struggling with this new bike. It's pretty big, it's pretty difficult to ride, and hopefully Almighty God will help me, support me, assist me. So I started climbing on my bike, and I started riding my bike on a dirt road downhill, and I lost control about 50 meters downhill, and I fell and I scraped open my knees. And in that moment, I got extremely, extremely angry. And I started shouting at God and saying, God, why did you allow this to happen? Why did you not help me? Why did you not keep me up? Why did you not support and assist me? Why did you let me fall and hurt my knees? And I was yelling at him. I was getting so angry. I picked up the bike and I just shake the bike and I threw the bike to the ground and I said, that God is fucking useless. That's what I said when I was 9 years old. Then I picked up my bike after this little rage tantrum that I had, and I started walking back to the house. Within walking back to the house, I suddenly realized, I'm just gonna put on my vibration off here. It's really, I started questioning God again. I was walking, I was like, okay, so what they teach me in school and what they tell me in school is that God created everything and God knows everything. So God knew that I was going to fall and God still allowed it, and God can do anything. He's almighty. He can literally change the world on a snap of his fingers, if he has fingers, to change the world to be a place that's best for everyone. That's heaven on earth. But he doesn't do that. Then the justification is that you have free will, and God cannot interfere with your free will. But God created free will, so God's interference already is that of free will. So my free will isn't free will because it's a design by God. And since God created everything, I'm a design by God. So therefore I'm a slave to God, isn't it? Now I start questioning God a lot. Just from that one fall on my bike, and God didn't help me. So now I came to the final question. As I walk up that road with my knees bleeding, and I had this very angry moment, and I asked myself one question, then who created God? And as I asked this simple question, who created God? My brain started hurting. I couldn't think of who in this universe could have created God? How did God come to exist? How did God, because in my head I still have the idea that God is a being, an entity that is sitting somewhere in heaven and controlling everything and creating everything. So I'm sitting thinking, who created God? How was God created? I mean, there had to be something before God. And my head got this headache, this pain that I couldn't get past this thinking. I couldn't get beyond this thinking of who created God. So I decided from that day on that I'm not going to believe in God anymore because he just makes me angry. All right, now remember, I'm 9 years old. I'm telling a story about when I was 9. So I decided to play the game at school where I pretend to sing. I pretend because kids didn't like to know that you are not religious. You actually get bullied by the religious people. You actually get shunned away. You actually get to be an outcast, and yeah, people get nasty when you're not in the same cult as them, the culture, the religion. So I pretended to be religious for a very long time, up until I was 12 years old. Now, when I was 12 years old, I decided I'm going to stop pretending, and I'm instead going to just be myself. When I was 16, I admitted in front of the whole class that I am not religious, I don't believe in any God or any religion, and everyone went, and that was for a moment, then it was over, and life moved on. Then I came to Destiny, and I started investigating the tools of Destiny and what Destiny says about life, and that you are life, you are the creator, you are God. So now it took everything to a whole new different level for me because of the information I got from Destiny. It connected all the dots. It made sense. And not just what Destiny says, but I could investigate it for myself the same way I investigated that day when I was 9 years old and I fell on my bike, how I investigated God and checked God out for myself and then made my own decision. That's the same I did when I came in contact with the Destiny material. You see, when I got that headache when I was 9 years old questioning who made God, it's because I looked for answers outside of myself. I didn't see and realize that I created this God entity, that I am God, that I have always been here. Not necessarily in this form, not necessarily as a God form or figure, but that I as the physical, as life, has always been here, one and equal with everything else in life. Therefore, I am God with everything and everyone else. And God is not separate from me. God is not a separate thing. It's not an entity that sits inside of me and therefore I'm God. No, it is me. It is you. It is us. And we have been here and we are here forever and ever and ever, for eternity. There is no start or end to eternity. We have been here and we will always be here. And we are God. Together, we are God. There is no being or entity that created us. We created this for ourselves because we're God. We are able to create this. We are in fact such awesome creators that we made ourselves forget that we are God. So we can always blame and remain in the game. So we can always just enjoy the indulgence and shit that we have created instead of changing it. Because to realize that I'm God and that you're God means we have to change. We have to take back our point of responsibility. So this took that headache away from me because I realized that I'm not separate from anything and there is nothing outside of me and there's nothing outside of anyone. We're all one, in fact, as the physical. That there is no entity that decides this is going to be life and this is not going to be life. There is no way possible that we can be separate from anything and anyone here. There is no main guy. There is no on top of the pyramid guy. It is just us, Jesus. Jesus came and showed us that it is just us. It is us. We are God. He said that you are my equals. He said that you can do what I have done and more. And God and Jesus was equal, isn't it? So we are God. We are Jesus. We are just us. It's just us. There is no one else that's going to come. That's the word of Jesus, is just us. And Jesus came to show. And I'm not just talking about Jesus. There has been dozens of examples just like Jesus in this life, in this existence, to show us that we are God. And that we have to claim our godliness, our image and likeness, in fact, as who we are as life, not as a real image or as a likeness, as a picture in our head. No, it has to be, in fact, walking as the physical. And that's the process and journey I'm walking now, is to forgive myself for what I have accepted and allowed as God. To even make myself forget that I am God, because that's the power I have as God. That's the power we all have as God. We can make ourselves look like insignificant little humans and live that out for eternity, because that's the power of God. That's us. We did that to ourselves. We are doing that to ourselves. There is no one else out there that's going to change shit or where you're going to go to heaven or hell. We decided that we are going to live this way as God. Why? Because we're fucking God. We can create anything we want. And instead of creating what's best for all life, we decided to experience all parts of life. And that's where it's happening right now. And it's very abusive. So we need to change by realizing that there is no God out there. It is me. I'm God. You are God. We are all God. And when we die, we're not going to go to heaven or hell. It's just us. We are it. We are the physical. We are life. No matter how much we fight it and think there's someone outside of us, it's still impossible. Even if you want to argue with the idea that there is a being, an entity out there that created everything and that decides everything for you, it's impossible, because you come from that entity, which means you cannot be more or less than that entity. Therefore, you are God. It's impossible for anything that comes from the same source to be more or less as that source. So everything is the source. We are all the source. There is no someone more or less than you, someone making decisions for you, someone making you live out your free will, when your free will was created by the one that says you have free will. I mean, wow. That's not free will, it's a design, it's a program. Oh, here you have free will. I'm God, I'm giving you free will. Okay, I designed free will, yes, because I'm the creator of everything. Free will has, limits. Free will has boundaries. Choice has boundaries. I mean, what's so free about that when someone literally had to create it for you to express it? If you believe in God, and that's the way it works, isn't it? So you can't say that, oh, but God gave us free will. No, he didn't. He created free will, which means free will is created according to his idea and belief of free will, which still falls within his rules. So free will cannot exist if you believe in a God. But now if you are God, then you realize that there's no actually free will, and that the only choice that you should make at this moment is to live what is best for all life. because we've been living for too long what isn't best for all life, because we have been separating ourselves from all life. So let's replace the word God. Let's just throw that word out of this existence. It is completely contaminated and full of shit. And everyone that comes in contact with the word God freaks the fuck out and loses their minds because of thousands of years of programming. I mean, look within, be still and know who you are. You are not this form as who you are. This form is part of you, but you are everything. You are your mouse, you are your laptop, you are everything in existence. You are me, I am you. Now we need to realize that again. Otherwise we're going to be stuck in this slave system forever, believing that we are just slaves to a system and that our limited free will is to live out some greater plan, some master plan in this universe. I mean, what plan is this sick if there is a thing such as a God? Why the fuck couldn't just be a good plan? Another question I have for someone who believes in a God is the following. Before you were born into this world, you were already in heaven, isn't it? So why did God put you on earth to challenge you and then to see if you go to heaven or hell? Why didn't he just keep you in heaven and never start any of this? I mean, that's pretty nasty. That's like saying, oh, you're already a perfect being, you're living in heaven, I'm gonna now create the world and I'm gonna get you born into that world and I'm gonna fuck with you and then I'm gonna see if you're gonna burn in hell forever or if you're gonna come back to heaven. Really? Is that what a greater being would do? No, that's what we will do to ourselves as God, for sure, because we're doing it. But we cannot say that there is another being out there that is mysteriously magical and powerful, while we are literally the ones here doing everything, living everything, deciding everything. So, religion is repeating the lie to create legions of slaves, legions of control. So you have religion. The lie is being told over and over, so we have legions, and therefore in this world you have wars for religion. You have money systems for religion. You have death, torture. You have very crazy shit happening for religion because we're not living our utmost potential as God. Thank you very much. I hope this video got a point through for whoever's watching, and I suspect we will be getting some comments. Give me your perspective. I'm not here to make anything personal. It's not personal. It is perspectives. Opinions is opinions. Give me facts that can stand on their own. Don't try and make things stand by making it personal or about a religion or about a person. This is God and religion in general. It's not about a specific religion. This is not about a specific person. This is not about me or you. This topic is about the topic. So let's keep it there. Let's keep it real. Thank you very much. Keep breathing.